Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode or the first guest episode on Ghjak on the mic. So today we have Jimseh, and he's a guy I met on Amino. So Jimseh, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. I'm Jimseh. I've met Ghjak on Amino about, I'd say, like a year or two ago.
Yeah. So what do you do on Amino?
I mostly just draw maps, but mostly, I've more or less strayed away from that because I've gotten a little bored from it, so now all I do is just shitpost.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's a path many people on Amino end up in. Like, I've gone on a path of just like being active and then being inactive for 6 months. So, I can't say I'm any better. But yeah, I mean, people on my channel would know that I'm pretty much dead. But hey, we're trying to change that with this podcast. So yeah. All right then, Jimseh. So why don't you like briefly explain your experience in the Amino? Because most likely our audience is gonna come from the mapping polar and ball Amino. So why don't you like talk about your experience, how you found the Amino, your first impressions of everybody and stuff like that.
I actually don't remember how I found them, but my experience has more or less been fine.
Mm-hmm.
When I first came to the Amino, when I first came into the Amino, I had very few mapping skills. Like, if you were to see my Amino profile, you can see how much I've progressed.
Yeah.
So, really, I've only been posted. So, really, I just posted like small maps based on like some creative ideas I had in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But more or less, I've swayed onto creating maps based off of a war game I play, just to more or less seem relevant.
Uh-huh. And what's this game that you use as inspiration?
It's called Call of War.
Call of War.
It's supposed to be based off of World War II and One.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've seen a lot of ads on that on YouTube. Yeah. And also like sponsorship deals, by multiple YouTubers. Some streamers such as Tommy K. Very good Hearts of Iron 4 player. So, I mean, I'm quite intrigued about this game, Call of War. So, why don't you just briefly tell us about it?
Well, Call of War, like you said, it gives off Hearts of Iron 4 vibes. The heart of the game is that it's very strategic. It's very strategic. You pick alliances with the right people. You expand in the right way, and you use your resources. And you use your resources wisely.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually I play this game with my friend. I've been playing Call of War for like 2 years now.
Oh.
My friend has only joined like 7 months ago, so he's
Mm-hmm.
very inexperienced.
Well, of course, compared to you.
Usually we work together, but usually we work together so that I could try and teach him the basics and try and move him along.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically all I've been doing is just playing that game, refining my skills, passing my skills on to my friend like a teacher or something.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's really good. And how would you describe the learning curve for such a game?
I describe the learning curve as very steep. Because as you go on in the game, you learn different strategies after strategies, and usually you'll be in games with like really good people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember a specific game that I was playing as like Central Asia, and there was this player as Korea who actually took over China and half of Siberia.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's actually quite crazy if I think about it. Like, that's something really hard to pull off at least in Hoi 4, even with the DLCs on. So I can imagine that. So, actually, why don't you describe to us, like, what's one of your best games on the game? This is embarrassing, but I forgot what the game's name is.
Call of War.
Call of War.
Anyway,
All right.
one of the okay, so my best game was a game as the Japanese Empire.
Mm-hmm.
What I ended up doing is I virtually took over. I took over China, Indonesia.
Mm-hmm.
I almost took down. I almost took over Australia.
Wow.
And like 2 days before the game ended, um, oh yeah, during this I joined the Allies with Britain and the U.S.
Uh-huh. Oh, well, that's
So
an
about 2 days
unorthodox
before
plan.
the game, the U.S. the U.S., the U.K. and for some reason they partnered up with Sweden and Yugoslavia. They took out the Axis, and about 2 days before the game ended, we we um we attacked Russia. I invaded from Siberia. They invaded from the west. They invaded from the west,
Hmm.
and from there we took major parts. We took major pieces of land. Eventually, the game ended. Our
Mm-hmm.
coalition won, and that was about it.
Wow. Well, yeah, that's quite definitely ahistorical, not anti-historical a maneuver, but I guess it was quite practical, because it kept you. I guess it kept the allies away from your imperial ambitions as Imperial Japan. So I mean that's a very interesting. It sounds like a very interesting game. Maybe for a future episode we may that you may introduce me to the game actually, and we can play together actually, because it sounds like a very cool game. And on what platform do you play this game on? Because I heard it's like multi-platform, like it's on PC, it could be on mobile. So what platform do you use to play this game, Call of War?
I usually play it on my phone
Mm-hmm.
until I got my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just like many different applications, it seems to be more optimized for PC players,
Mm-hmm.
like a larger menu.
Uh-huh. Fair enough. And do you think that poses a disadvantage for mobile players?
Not at all. Not no, not exactly because being a mobile player and being a PC player both have benefits.
Mm-hmm. And since you have actually played on both, why don't you like outline a few major advantages and disadvantages on playing on PC compared to playing on mobile?
Um, compared to PC, when you're comparing PC and mobile, a large advantage on PC is coordination.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're playing on mobile and you're typing with your fingers, you're you basically have to estimate your location if you want to get the exact place.
Mm-hmm.
However, on PC, you can just drag your mouse around and click the exact spot you want to go to.
Uh-huh. So and
However,
yeah, however.
however, on mobile, there are several there are several advantages that you have, such as on PC. Sometimes on PC, whenever you're trying to like look through coalitions and stuff, it's a bit weird and buggy. That's
Mm-hmm.
not the case for mobile. Like, if you want to check the specific details of a coalition, you can do that. However, if you're trying to do it on PC, it's like a lengthy process.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Like, the advantages on PC have to do with the game itself, but the advantages on mobile are more technical.
So you would say the interface, like the user interface, is more friendly on mobile compared to the PC, and
Yes,
the
on PC,
inherent
because on P-
disadvantage for the mobile is that because you're playing on a small screen, right, and you don't have that keyboard on the side, and the keyboard takes up the screen, you do not know exactly where you are or where you're trying to aim, because like for the technicalities you already explained. So yeah. And would you call yourself an expert in the game, considering you have 2 years of experience? Hello.
uh,
Uh,
my mic is being weird. I'd say yes and no,
mm-hmm.
because I do have quite the experience with the game. but there come, but let's say you take me for like you compare me to like a veteran of the game who's on like the top 10 of the leaderboards.
Mm-hmm.
I have no experience at all.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I do slip up and I play stupid strategies that lead to my demise.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I play smart strategy. Sometimes I play smart strategies, like tricking the like I withdraw my forces from front lines to trick the enemy into thinking I have no military. And
Uh-huh.
then when they try pushing, I just throw my entire military at them and absolutely decimate their armies.
Mm-hmm. So you essentially fool the enemy by not having your soldiers at the border, if I understood correctly. And when they do cross, you just send your entire army. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Uh-huh. Sounds like feigned retreat to me. Like have like a false sense of, well, giving false information or false sense of weakness to the enemy, lure them in and then attack. That's a very famous tactic that the Mongols used in all their campaigns. Hence why they're world domination. Like I'm like a medieval history major in at high school, so I had to research all that kind of stuff. It's very interesting how like players come up with strategies and that same strategies have been used in real life. So do you feel that kind of moment when you play like a very smart move?
Yeah, there are several players who do different strategies.
Mm-hmm.
Some resort to blitzkrieg,
Yeah.
where they just push into enemy territory with the full force of their army.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some some resort to defense instead of offense,
Mm-hmm.
where they just create a defense line with their military and basically just prevent the other player from moving into their territory.
I see. Uh-huh.
And
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes people decide to make blockades.
Interesting. That really is interesting. And would you say like the strategy changes depending on the nation being played?
I'd say yes because in several different games, I have played as the Germans, and whenever you play as the Germans, you have a absolutely massive military.
Mm-hmm.
So so basically, you start the game with different amounts of troops. So let's say you're the Germans, you have a large amount of troops. If you're the Russians, you do have a large amount of troops, but they're spread out across a wide area, and they're very technologically behind.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. So yeah. So I'm assuming for the German army, because for the Germans, because they have a very massive military, it would be in their interest to go and do blitzkrieg. I mean, of course, historically they have done that, but in terms of the game, that'll be probably the most popular strategy, if I'm correct.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And what if you were playing as the Russians? Like, considering that they have a lot of troops, but their weaponry is kind of outdated compared to the Germans. What would be the best strategy for the Russians? If
I'd say
mm-hmm.
the best strategy of the Russians is because in this game seasons aren't a thing, so you can't use the Russian winter to your advantage.
Oh, of course. Mm-hmm.
So the strategy is more or less lure the enemy in because you have such a large amount of area. Lure the enemy in, and then cut them off.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever troops are still inside your nation, just take them out and then push.
Uh-huh.
And keep doing that strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep cutting off armies and then taking them out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's very cool. I mean, that's also very, very, like, that's a very sound strategy. Considering that the Russians, they have a lot of manpower, but they do not have, I guess, enough equipment, or that even that equipment is kind of outdated. So, of course, taking that to advantage. But wouldn't you think that the invasion would actually, how does the war mechanics work? Like, do countries capitulate? Do you have to conquer the entirety of the country? Like, how does that kind of stuff work?
Yeah, that's something I don't like about the game. Capitulation is not a thing.
Oh, oh God, that's going to be grim.
Yeah, it's gonna be grim, and it does have a newspaper, and the game itself does calculate casualties.
Mm, yeah. So that means, for example, if Moscow was captured, right, in the game, the Soviet Union will not instantly capitulate or something like that. Like, if enough cities have been taken, just like in Hearts of Iron 4, right? Once you get enough capitulation points by capturing certain population centers, or enough casualties have been inflicted, the country capitulates. So you're telling me that is definitely not the case in Call of War.
Yes, that is not the case. You actually have to take over the nation in its entirety.
And that's a massive bro moment. Not gonna lie. I mean, but then it's I guess something like that is expected from a game, kind of. A game like that. And in that sense, that this brings up the question. So it's basically a less complicated Hoi 4.
Yes.
Uh huh. All right then. So, I mean, if you were the developer of the game, what would you do to make the experience better? Like, what would you do so that player experience of Call of War would be better?
Um, First off, I would add something similar to a capitulation feature
Mm-hmm.
because I don't exactly like the fact that you have to take out the nation in its entirety, especially if it's something like Japan, where it's spread out across a wide area with like tons of islands,
Mm-hmm.
or like the Soviet Union, where it's just massive.
Mm-hmm.
I would add something similar to the capitulation feature,
Uh-huh.
to
I see.
where
Mm-hmm.
to where instead of capitulation, the person has the option to capitulate, like in the case that their capital was captured.
Mm-hmm. I see. And so I guess that would be something the devs have to work on. And then what would be your tips for beginners? Like, you may have got intrigued if some of our audience to actually go out and try playing this game, like myself. So what would be like the tips you would give to beginners? What are good countries to start off with? Hit us up.
Uh, say for beginners, you'd I'd say for beginners, um, well, in the beginning of the game, you do get a tutorial round, so there's that.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, you like the baselines down. But after that, I'd say if because the game does have different game modes and events. So let's say you're playing Historic World War. Go for one of the main nations, like the Soviet Union, Imperial Japan,
Mm-hmm.
like something like that.
Yeah. And
And
what?
basically,
And
what you want to do is
sorry, you're saying?
you want to research and industrialize as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to create a large military in the shortest amount of time without absolutely decimating your economy.
Uh-huh. All right. That's well then in that sense. Wow. So basically, Call 4 has aspects that Hoi 4 doesn't, like economy. So that's interesting. Uh.
Yeah, you have money, you have goods, you
Mm-hmm.
have food, you have oil, you have different things. You have rare materials are mainly which you can sell on them. Well, yeah, the game does have an economy. It has a market system where
Mm-hmm.
you can buy different from other people.
Uh-huh.
And rare materials, they're mainly used for researching,
Uh-huh.
which if let's say you have a lot of it, you can research a bunch of things, and then if you deem that you have enough left over that you don't exactly need, you can just put it on the market to make some money.
Mm-hmm. I see. Well, that's cool. And there's no single player mode. I'm assuming.
No, there's not, sadly.
Uh-huh. And does latency actually affect gameplay? Um. in the sense that certain players may be lagging?
No, I don't think the game has lag problems exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have played the game while my internet decides that it doesn't want to work. There is some lag, and there is some lag. The game does because my friend does play the game on like a very old phone, and sometimes the game does freeze up and then just crash.
Huh.
But if you have good internet connection and like a good working device, I don't think lag will be much of a problem.
I see. And Call of War, if is it just like a separate website to play the game, or is it on Steam? Uh
Yeah, it is a separate website.
huh. Okay. Oh, right. So then that's very interesting. Thank you for talking to us about Call of War. I mean, I definitely saw ads about it on history channels on YouTube and other, similar content related channels. And so I guess we're going on to the next segment of the podcast, which is explain your profile picture. So I came up with this idea. I came up with this idea because people have so many different kind of profile pictures, and people tend to change it quite a lot. So in case in the future you do return to the podcast, which may be really likely, to be honest, they may have a changed profile picture. So, Jimseh, go ahead, explain your profile picture. My first impressions are it's a very interesting profile picture and quite a current one, considering that it's following that strong Doge and weak Doge meme. So yeah, go ahead, explain yourself.
Well, I am following a meme. It's the Dorime Chims.
Mm-hmm. Wait, okay, I have no idea. I'm a boomer. Do you mind sending me a picture? Like post it on the chat.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's based on this meme.
Yeah, it's based on this meme. To explain it, the meme it's based off of a song by a French artist.
Mm-hmm. Wait, Dorime.
Dorime.
Dorime. Hey, da 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 Dorime. That one, right? Oh no, that's Amino.
Yes.
My bad.
Amino, Dorime, whatever you call it, it's the same thing.
Oh, is it? Well, I've really made a fool of myself, haven't I? Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I was listening to it last night, 3 a.m. vibes. So, it's fresh in my head. But I've never actually seen a Doreme meme, to be honest. So, so you're telling me your profile picture is related to that meme?
Yeah, it's a Full Metal Alchemist Dorime memes.
Ah, I see. Mm-hmm. So, and then that's how your profile picture came to be. And that's why you've picked it. Uh-huh. Picked it because it was funny, or was it like a significance that you related to with the picture? What's up?
No, I just pick random profiles at times.
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 months ago, my profile was a pie.
Just a pie. We're talking about the food one,
the
right?
Minecraft pumpkin pie.
Oh, pumpkin pie, yeah. I mean, that's my favorite dish on Minecraft. I mean, of course, I haven't physically tasted it, because you can't. But yeah, it is my favorite dish. Mm-hmm. And you said it's, I mean, I can see that the profile picture is based on the anime Full Metal Alchemist. Have you watched this anime?
Not really. I've only watched like 2, 3 episodes of the first season.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a common thing I do. I watch like a couple episodes of an anime, and then I never get back to it.
Ah, alright. So you won't call yourself an avid anime watcher?
I mean, there are certain animes that I will watch to the fullest, like Fire Force, Fire Force, Doctor Stone, ReZero. Those are animes that I have watched.
Yeah. I see.
And I have finished the season.
Mm-hmm. I see.
I am of course waiting, because I do watch them in dub.
Mm-hmm. Ah, I see.
So I'm of course waiting for because I did hear that like the first two episodes of Fire Force season 2 are out, but I
Mm-hmm.
am waiting for them to be dubbed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they are.
I see. So, so you basically do not prefer subs. Is there a reason why?
Um, not exactly. I think I just not exactly. I think I just prefer it because I don't have to be reading text and then strain my eyes away from what's actually happening.
Ah.
Because I do not multitask.
Oh,
I
right.
can't multitask.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's weird. I mean, because I prefer sub only because I feel like meaning is lost during translation for the dub, if that makes sense. Right?
I mean,
Like,
that is true.
mm-hmm.
I have watched subs before, and I've been confused because some words are different, but I think that's more or less just to simplify it for the audience.
Uh-huh. Ah, okay, fair enough. So basically, you do not prefer subs because you can't be asked to multitask.
Yes.
Alright, that's fair enough. I'm not gonna lie. Absolutely fair enough. And so I guess we get on to the next segment of our podcast, which is, just talking about your favorite YouTube channels, like, who do you watch, stuff like that. So why don't you tell us the kind of YouTube channels you watch and who's your favorite YouTuber?
Uh, I mostly watch like historical videos and Reddit commentary channels.
Yeah, all right. Reddit commentary channels.
Yeah.
Can you describe that, please?
They're they're basically just channels that look through subreddits and do commentary on them.
Mm-hmm.
Some
Oh, okay.
sometimes they're disturbed because they're looking at things like r/cursed images or cursed comments.
Yeah. I mean, what are they expecting if they're going there? But yeah, and so basically they're just reaction channels, but for Reddit.
Yes.
Yeah. So, is there a few that you watch frequently?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can you name them?
Calbus,
Mm-hmm.
Fake Jake,
Uh-huh.
and that's really all I can think of off of my head.
Yeah, fair enough. And okay, I'm assuming they're American. Because
No,
no?
one of them is British, but one of them they live in Britain, but I'm very much convinced he's Australian.
And what makes you think that? I mean, of course, I've not seen this guy, and I've not checked out his channel. But as an onlooker, what makes you think that he might be Australian? Is it his accent?
It's his voice.
Uh-huh.
I think he's mentioned living in Australia sometimes in his videos.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know and Calbus is like a channel that hosts multiple people.
Uh-huh. Just
Also,
host
it's
him.
not exactly a singular nationality.
Okay. I see. And then let's go to the historical channel. So who do you watch frequently from there?
Before this podcast started, I was watching a channel called History Scope,
Mm-hmm.
which was going over the Tokyo and Nuremberg trials.
Yeah.
But that's about it. That's about it. Sometimes I watch Real Life Lore. Sometimes I watch Kurt's Gazette, which isn't exactly a history channel.
Yeah. Okay, but it's like an information style,
Yeah.
YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so then, who's your favorite YouTuber?
I don't think I'd have a singular one. What I'd say my favorite is Albino.
Albino. Hey, is he a Fortnite player?
Um,
Like he does a compilation thing. Like he does a meme edits. If I remember correctly. I mean, I don't know.
he does meme edits.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was subscribed to him on YouTube. A while back. I think when he was doing PUBG, meme edits. Then he was doing the Fortnite ones. Then he became really inactive. But that's because he's using Twitch, right? And I don't.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's doing Twitch. I think he uploads Smash content, like guides on how to on how to main like Mr. Game and Watch and Hero.
Uh-huh. I see. Okay, I mean, fair enough. And what's your opinion on Twitch? Do you use this platform? Do you watch streams?
I do. I don't really use Twitch. I do watch. I do watch Twitch streams from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
But more or less, I mostly use Twitch as just like a game launcher, so I can play Minecraft mod packs.
Wait, what?
I
Game launcher?
mainly use. What?
But sorry, I mean, I'm totally unaware. I mean, consider this. I've never opened www.twitch.com at all, ever in my life. So I have like zero idea.
Oh, I don't use the Twitch website.
Mm-hmm.
You can download it, but you can download it as like a separate tab, I think. But I mainly use it to launch mod packs because it does have a mods tab, so that you can look at different, so you can install like different mods and mod packs for games. Like they have Minecraft, Elder Scrolls Online, World of Warcraft, along with some other games.
Cool. That's interesting. I mean, I never knew that. Hey, you learn something every day. So I guess we're reaching the near end of the podcast right now. So is there anything you would like to plug? What are you doing recently? So yeah, go ahead.
I have actually been doing much recently.
Not even project
I've more or less
wise.
just been sitting at home. I've more or less just been sitting at home, enjoying quarantine for an excuse to be antisocial.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot to ask. I mean, the final segment, I mean, this is the first time I'm actually hosting a podcast per se properly, right? So I'm kind of not professional, just learning. But yeah, there's a final segment, which is basically what's going on around you. I mean, that sounds really creepy, you know, because it's kind of asking where is their location kind of vibe. But what I'm basically asking is that, people are in different parts of the world. You know, some countries are in lockdown. Some countries are not in lockdown and they're just vibing. You know, some places the coronavirus also doesn't exist. For example, Belarus, which, it's an entire meme on its own self. But yeah, so what's up? You said you're part of the... actually, which country you're from?
Yeah. I am Nigerian, but I do live in the U.S.
Okay, so you're in the United States. So in your part of the United States, how's the coronavirus? Because, it's the number one there in terms of infection rates and all that kind of stuff. And how are you dealing with quarantine?
Quarantine is, well, it's fine. There's nothing too bad happening. I don't live in New York.
Of course. All right, then.
So everything's fine. So everything's pretty much fine here. I do think our state is going through a process of reopening.
Wait, that's good news. Would you like to say the name of your state, or would you like that to be a private information?
I won't say the name of my state, but I'll say the general location. I live in New England.
New England. All right, then. Yeah, one of those original colonies. I mean, some of them, not all of them. Well, anyways. So, yeah. So is there anywhere people can follow you in case you do something new or start a new project? I know on Amino, your username is Hiruya. Yeah. And of course, they can follow you there and see what you shit post or whatever you post. And is there anywhere else people can follow you in case you do something?
I do have a couple of platforms. I have a and an Instagram, but I don't do much there. I do occasionally post some drawings on Twitter.
I see. So, would you like to share those those acts? I guess.
Not really. I mean, I could.
I mean, it's up to you really, because if you're not going to do anything for a while, then may not be worth it for now, at least.
Uh,
But yeah, I mean, it's all up to you, bro. It's all up to you. Well, if that's it, then I guess it's the end of episode 2 of Ghjak on the mic. Thank you very much, Jimseh, for joining us. It's a pleasure to meet you and voice talk
yeah,
to you
to
after a
you.
long time. So yeah, thank you very much.